Talking now 30 years ago, I didn't know where my nearest family history center was at the time, and so for me to find anything, I would write letters to Italy in English because that's how little I knew, and I put money in the envelope, which is how little I knew. I did get a couple of responses back, which gave me the false hope that everybody responded all the time. Some people have done a small amount of their research over a long period of time using that method, and there's nothing wrong with it except there's a much better method, and that's what I'm going to help show you all today. I recognize faces, but I don't know how many of you were at the first two presentations and got handouts from those. You don't need them for here, but basically all I want to do is demonstrate methods to use with family search. We've got one more of these coming up next month, and I'll show you some more advanced topics, and we'll see if there's time today, certainly if there's time next month, where I could show you the other website, which is the Italian archives site, otherwise known as Antenati. It's not as nice of a interface, and not all the data is there, but it's worth knowing it if you have difficulty getting to a family history center or an affiliate library. I know I said it 40 times in the last two talks, but it bears repeating because it's important that there are items that are restricted only to those kind of locations, family history center or affiliate library. And there are things, because of that, you're restricted where you can't see them from home. We're going to run into that a lot here because we're at home.
Excuse me, what was that, how do you say that, Antenati?
Antenati.
How do you spell it, do you know?
A-N-T-E-N-A-T-I, but that's not the name of the website.
Oh, okay.
The website, yeah, I'll pull it up at some
Okay, I was
point.
gonna type in .org or something. Oh,
It's
okay.
not that, that's, yeah.
Okay. I was looking for the,
For those who at least want to toy around with it on their own, and it's a slow website too, but it's there. Let me see if it'll zoom in for us here. Okay, it zoomed in everything but the name, which is what I wanted it to do. Okay, it's antenati.cultura.gov, G-O-V,
okay,
.it.
thank you.
And then you have to convince it which language you want, and in the middle it's going to change it on you. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you very much.
But that's good. No. It's another place to get, the records are just as free there as they are on Family Search, but getting to the ones you want is going to be smoother on this site. So I'm going to show you a couple of specific techniques for family search, because we started the beginnings of it. The older handouts explain how to set up your account if you haven't done one already. And again, you will never be asked for anything resembling a credit card number. There's no in-app purchases or things. Oh, that's a free app on my phone, but I got to give it my credit card, and then I got to, every time I want to listen to a song, I have to pay for it. None of that. None of that here. They could have made a lot of money. A lot of money. I'd be out on, Mannheim Avenue, begging for genealogy in the bucket, So we don't. Anyway, so I'm going to show you again. I'm going to presume that the vast majority of you, if not all of you, know the exact town in Italy where your forebears came from. But it's just good to see this, because you'll get some more information on your forebears if they came over here and became a U.S. citizen. So I want to show you this part of it. If it's I honestly, the handout is a mishmash of things, because we had a lot of things going wrong at my place of work, and my boss is not all that keen on, say, you know, canceling a meeting with me about the company because I want to get ready for my talk here. He's such a jerk that way, this guy, really, I mean. So the handout is not as good as I'd like it, but if you don't have a handout, it'd be good to have one, if nothing else, to scribble on. Give everybody time to get their handouts together. I should probably steal one too, so I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'll go.
No, I got it.
Does anyone else need one?
There's some stuff I'll go through that's directly on the handout, but I want to make sure I cover. Yeah, like I say, there's a lot of what I talk about is to make sure that, you know, if you can get something for free that's exactly the same as what you're going to get if you pay for it, why not get it for free? So, you know, yes, I spent some money. I sent some money over to Italy that never materialized. You know, 30 years ago. You know, who knows what the exchange rate is now? Say, I want my money back. Maybe I'll make a profit. We're going to cover the finding the town in a minute. I want to do something. Let's see. Yeah, this is all about finding the town. Okay, so this small part here is so that you can find, this is going to be in addition to your handouts. You might want to write this down. I'll try to do it slowly. So I want to show you how to find your ancestor becoming a U.S. citizen. Now, these are not Italian records. These are U.S. government records, but they're in Family Search also. So there are two different kinds of records there. One of them is, there's a double index. For some reason it overlaps. One of the, it says 1840 to 1950, and another index that says 1926 to 1979. The only reason that's important is that if one of them's not readable, you can find it in the other index if the years happen to overlap. The index is just to a set of cards. And this is when I started. I had to go to the National Archives on 73rd and Pulaski. Fortunately, I lived in Burbank at the time, which was not far. And so there were microfilm with these cards on them, and now you can search them online. I'm going to show you how to do this, and this is also a generalized way of explaining to you how to work with searching for records. I'm going to tell you right now that very few Italian civil records are searchable on Family Search. Even fewer of them are searchable on Antenati, okay? So just be aware that if all you had to do was type in your name, the name of the person, and the day they were born, and there you're going to find them, we don't need this class. You know, you do this, anybody could do that. So the reason why we're here is because they made it so difficult that we have to actually browse our way through the records. So let me show you first how to find that kind of record. The naturalization records, petition for naturalization, whatever they call them, are pretty slick. If you go through your family's papers and you've got a certificate and it's got a picture and it says that so-and-so is a citizen, that's a wonderful document to have, but you're not going to find that online. What you're going to find is the application papers they use to get that happy document, okay? And the application papers are much more thorough and detailed and have some interesting stuff on them, even if some of it's misspelled. You're going to find that out too. So, search records. Okay, we talked briefly about this last month, and they've actually changed a little bit of this website in the time since last month, but it's not significant. It's just moderate. Now, they make it easy. Search historical records. First name, last name, place, and year. We want to do better than that right out of the gate, okay? Even if you've got a uncommon name, you know, what might be an uncommon name to you from your town in Italy might be very common with a slight alteration in spelling in Argentina, in Chile, you know, anywhere. So we want to limit ourselves a little bit to what we're looking for. So when I go into this page, the first thing I click is more options, okay? Now those options, they scroll up and down a little bit, so just know that going in, okay? So this is to search any of uncountable billions of records on family search, but we're gonna limit it so that we get closer to what we want. I don't want everybody who's got this name. I want a specific thing, and that's what the first paragraph of the handout goes into, is like, just focus on which piece of information you want and then go out and try to get it. Because if you just say, I'm just going to take a handful of darts and throw them at the wall, a couple of them are going to hit the dartboard, and you're just going to have a bunch of holes in the wall. The cat's going to scream from getting hit with a dart. You know, it's you don't want to just do that if you can avoid it. So I'm gonna be above board here, and I'm going to admit that I did all of these searches from home or from work before I came here, so I know exactly what the results are going to be, because I didn't want any surprises of, oh gee, I can't find that one. Oh well. I mean, that's something you should know, that's what you're going to run into as well, but for the sake of time, we want to do this where the results are predictable enough. So just letting you know that ahead of time. Just before we started this presentation, Dominic and I were talking about a family that's was based in Franklin Park. You might know them if you drive through that underpass. Their picture is on the underpass of how many of them there are. The family name in Italy was Latorre, which is really close to my grandfather's name of Liturri, but they're not related to each other. But it's why I started looking for them in the first place, and it turned out that wasn't it. They changed the spelling in America to Latoria, okay? And if you know anything about newspaper research, you're going to find them. They got an award at the Chicago World's Fair. I think they only had 19 kids at the time. I didn't know you got an award for that. They got an award for it, and to celebrate, they had number 20. They did. So now what am I looking for? Well, I said at the beginning I want to find a naturalization paper. And so quickly, let me just remind you, for those of you who were here before, that before 1922, if a man became a U.S. citizen, his wife was grandfathered, grandmothered in, whatever you want to call it, which means there's no application form for her. So you're going to look for her stuff. Hey, I want to know where she was born. You might not find it, because there won't be a paper if his paper is before 1922. That's what the law was. And then the children who were born overseas got grandfathered in as well. In 1922, they changed a lot of the laws, and they made everybody file their own paper. Better for us as researchers, maybe not so good for them. Now, I don't want to just find every Rosa Latoria out there. There's a bunch of stuff. But a key when I'm searching anything in family search records is to hit the word type, because it's the type of record that I'm going to limit myself to. And you can pick any number of these, but today I only want to pick immigration and naturalization. Now that's going to give you citizenship stuff and passenger list stuff. That's pretty much it. If they came over from Canada, if they came in from Mexico back in the old enough days for their records to be there, it'll be in here. So I want Rosa Latoria immigration. That's all I want. Again, when we're looking for birth records, we click that button. It's just a way to limit the result set so we don't get everything. Now, it goes back and forth, because I know we're not on the strongest Wi-Fi connection here. So I'll talk while it's looking. Her husband did become a citizen, but after 1922, so she had to file on her own. Do we have that Wi-Fi little box?
Oh.
If it's gonna be this
Oh,
slow,
It's in the other room.
Okay. We might wanna move it in here and make it a little faster. So, yeah, this is, it's never this slow, but it is this slow here, so, yeah, you have a question?
Do you pick the sex?
You could, up here at the top, you see I got a much bigger, arrow this time, that's because my vision is lousy. A lot of records don't have the sex in them. So you could theoretically hit sex, male, female, unspecified. Now that's got nothing to do with what's going on today, it's just, in many records, they don't bother to record it, okay? So I don't always use this because it's just not always there on the record itself. So I'm gonna go back real quick here.
Did it come up?
No.
It did not, so I'm gonna do this again. It's a much stronger signal now. That's all right, it's giving me the opportunity to show everybody again how to do it. So I put the name in, immigration naturalization. Okay, I'm gonna drop out of that, that shouldn't have anything to do with it. I have to put my phone on as a, let's see, all right, we're gonna, little bit of problem, but we're gonna figure it out. It's closer and it should be connected, secured. Let me see if my Xfinity Wi-Fi is able to come through. Got a lot of Wi-Fi's near here. That's a very low signal on that one. Try this one and see if it's any better. If not, I'll reload the browser. We'll get this. Can't connect, okay.
Franklin's
yeah,
is our normal one.
Redo that, come on. I don't want to be protected, I just want it to work. It's gonna be a real long talk if the internet don't work. Alright, I'm gonna close the browser and get back in fresh. No, I don't want Facebook, family search. Sign in. They keep me signed in for 2 weeks, I'll do at home, but I won't do out. Search records. See, this comes in pretty quick. Rosa. I'm gonna skip a step here because what I wanted to show you is that nothing comes in as Latoria. You think it's gonna be spelled right, but it isn't. We talked last time about wildcards. And I like to put asterisks in for the vowels because they don't always spell out right. And when you see this woman's signature, you're going to know that she could barely read or write. Okay, we got a result. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff, immigration, but nothing Rosa. See Locastro, that's showing up in here. So one thing you can do is go up to collection. You see this up in the corner here? Scribble that on your notes. So migration and naturalization. It says there's 158 collections. We're only going to check 1 or 2 of them because all I want to do is show you the index. I'm scrolling it down. Illinois Northern District, Eastern Division, that's that 1926 index I mentioned. And it says 1840 to 1950. I don't know how early your Italians came here, but just so you know that naturalization papers prior to 1906 are almost useless. They say, John Smith from London became a citizen. That's it. No birth date, no wife, no parents. I guess as long as John was carrying it, he was fine. So I'm going to apply the filter because that's all I care about are these two indexes. And these are the two you're going to care about if you decide to search for your ancestor this way. So I applied the filter and now I'm getting Northern District. Northern District includes southern Wisconsin, a little bit of Iowa, pretty much the top half of Illinois. So we got a Rosa Pia Latrofa, who's also from one of my towns, but that's not it. Okay, so 1900 is not my Rose. All right, so we need to add another event. I'm going to add her birth because I happen to know she was born about 1890. If you know somebody's birth date and you want to search with a range of years, I would put a little bit of a cushion on there because they're not always accurate. So we're still getting a lot of, okay, Rosa Latare, bless you, naturalization Franklin Park, and they're both born 1891. Now she was born actually in 1890, so this thing does some math on its own, and that would have cost us if I'd have put 1890. I'm going to pick this one here. So it's not spelled Latoria, it's way off. But I'm going to pick this one, naturalization 1943. Now when you're at home, over down here you're going to see, can't see the image when you're looking for your Italian records, but fortunately these records are available. I'm going to hit view records so we can see the whole thing, now that it will do it. And so this little thumbnail off to the side, all this is the card now. This isn't her naturalization. So you zoom it in, the plus zooms it in. So Latari's way off. 3337 Ernst Street, Franklin Park. I can't imagine who her neighbors were with 20 kids. It's a safe bet that not all 20 were in the house at the same time. World War II, 4 of them went off overseas. The older daughters got married in the 1920s, and so at any rate, so you see this is a heck of a signature. So Rosa Latoria. If I didn't say Latoria, you might not know that's what that meant. But here's what you need to look for a naturalization. This number up at the top, forget it. You don't need that. What you need is you need to see the words U.S. District Court at Chicago, Illinois, and you need to see the petition number. Write that number down. Even I'm going to write it down. I have it already. 272579. That's a very important number to help us find where we're going here, because all this is an index card. Why is U.S. District important? Because if your family if anybody got naturalized in Cook County Court or in there's 2 or 3 other courts that are local, and those records are not available at all on Family Search. U.S. District are available, okay? So we have that number. We've got a horribly misspelled name, but I know her age. See, age 52 years. So they subtracted and got 1891. She was born in 90. So be careful always searching for years. Yes?
What's that AR number on the bottom?
It's of no importance either, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, they give you a lot of, when you get to looking for birth certificates and death certificates, you're gonna find 6 or 7 different numbers on each document, and 5 of them are of no use to us. You have a question?
I got lucky once, searching for Cook County records of naturalization,
Okay.
because I couldn't find it in the district court. If you are active enough and want to go down to the Daily Center in
Sure. Absolutely.
Chicago, there's an index specifically for naturalization. They keep it somewhere in the Daily Center. I It used to be on the 13th floor, but I'm not sure.
I've not been to the Daily Center because I live way in the north suburbs, but there's a, yes, you can certainly do that, or you can go on what I've done on a few occasions is I go on to genealogy groups on Facebook, and I appeal to somebody who's gonna already says, I'm going down to the Daily Center for some records, hey, can you just find me this one thing for me, and I throw them a few bucks, for their trouble. Or they ask for it, whatever. That's certainly a way to do it. I know some of the county stuff is also at IRAD at the Ronald Williams Library at Northeastern Illinois University. They have them there too on actual microfilms. Yes?
My grandparents came to the United States, to Chicago Heights, and the Chicago Heights Library has a whole listing of people that were naturalized.
Specifically Chicago Heights people, or just?
Well, yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
familiar with
used
that?
those in a research that I did, and I found 1,448 Italians who had done this declaration of intention to become a citizen. And it is a questionnaire of, I don't know, maybe 70 or 80 different data points.
We're coming to it, yeah.
And you can tell a lot about a person by reading over those things, like who vouched for them, or who were their sponsors, yeah. And what their occupation was, where they were born, who their children were, and all that sort of thing, or where they were born. That is very useful if you can get a hold of the Declaration of Intent to become citizen. I haven't seen any of that online. Are they online anywhere that you've read?
Not so much for the county records, but for U.S. District, that's where we're coming to next. We're gonna find this woman's record because it's really cool.
Okay.
Because it lists her kids. Yeah.
Real quick, that AR, is that not related to those A files that you get from the, when you go to CIS, USCIS, Citizenship and Immigration Service now, and that's the record number that they hold those under?
I'm not familiar with it. I've never needed it.
So when you research naturalization records, they have an A file, and sometimes there's an R file, and I don't know if that's related to it, so.
It might be, but I've never done that actually.
Okay.
What I want to do now, because we lost some time due to the internet thing, is what I want to do is I want to show you how to find this record. It would be nice if I could just click on this and take you right to the record. It doesn't work that way. And if I found her in the other index, in the 1840 to 1950 index, it would have the same petition number on that. But here's how to find U.S. District. Now I got a little sneaky shortcut because there's a lot of naturalization stuff. So I go into search catalog. Let me back up so you can take that in. I get search catalog. And instead of the other stuff, I use keywords. And I put District Northern Illinois because I know that's what's in the title. Okay? So that's just a little workaround by me because I don't know what film number, place, Chicago, my goodness, I'll be, and it's actually not Chicago, it's Franklin Park. It won't be in the catalog under Franklin Park. So there's a bunch of entries here, including the index we were just in. And we want to get down to, see, that's okay, collection record, okay. Illinois Northern District petitions, try to zoom in on it a bit here. Northern District petitions for naturalization, collection record 1906 to 1994. So we've got indexes covering to 79, but we've got petitions as late as 1994. So people who came in fairly late, you can maybe find them, but you won't find the petition number in the index, okay? So I'm going to click on that, and in the catalog there's no films. Normally at this point we would see a list of films. In this case they don't have that. they just have this little note, to view digital images of these, click here. That little here is all you get. So keep an eye out for it. So this gets a little tricky, but it's worth the effort of finding, especially when now they give you a little fooler. Here's an index, first name, last name. Nobody's indexed in here, okay? Just telling you that, just scribble down what to expect. You look at these notes 10 years from now, everything could be changed, who knows? So, browse all 2,046,215 images. Okay, do we want to start at number 1 and work our way down? No. But we are going to browse all 2,046,215 images, yes. Okay, so you hit that button. Again, you want to write this stuff down because there's these steps got to go in order or this doesn't work. The only thing clickable, you see here, there's none of those images. So you hit Cook County, because it's the only county in there, and then you get this monolith, petitions, petitions, petitions. Every one of these is a film. Okay, get dizzy looking at it. So, we wrote down the petition number a minute ago that we found in the index, right? I don't want to sit and even read all these entries. So here's my trick. I hit Control F, which is how to find within any web page, but certainly this one. Now I'm not going to find 272579 because if you see any of these, you see it says petition number 212,651 to 212,950. So it's an inclusive range of numbers. So you're not going to find each of the uncountable millions of these that there are. So I type in 2, I just hit the 2, and that you see all these yellow 2s up there. Is it yellow? I can't see behind me.
Yeah.
So 272. Now the first thing it took me to is volume 272. That doesn't help me. And you see up here, it says 1 of 12. So there's 12 with 272 in it. So you hit the down arrow, and now we're in 271, 272, 272. So we're in the range of the 272 numbers. We need 272, 579. So this bad boy here, 551 to 850. Yeah, this is a archaic method of finding something, but you get it for free, okay? And you can do this from home. No need to go to a center, no affiliate library, all from home, okay? So I'm gonna hit that one. And now I finally get, okay, well it gets me the first image. So now the trick is, we have 1,008 in here. How do I get to 272, 579? Well, we know we're starting at 551 because that's what the entry says up here. You see where I'm pointing? And then it goes up to 850. So you gotta do a little elementary math in your head and go, how far out of 1,008 images to go from 551 to 579? Well, that's near the beginning, okay? So I'm gonna go to 100. I'm not gonna jump right to the middle and take me too far. Now, not every paper here has a petition number on it. This one, if it says petition at the top, the number over here, they're in order, but each person's got several pages worth of stuff. So it's not one by one, all right? So 272,585, well, 579 is who we're looking for. So since we lost some time earlier, I already know my image number. I cheated. Okay. So of these records, you're going to find, and this is one of the cool things, certificate of arrival. This means somebody went to the passenger list back in 1943 when this was filed. And her name was Rosa Scavo, I presume was the pronunciation at the time. She was not yet married to the man who would give her 20 children, or she gave him 20 children. So she came in 1906, so she's about 16. So I'm going to go forward, and now this goes right to the petition at this late date, there's no declaration paper yet. If you go later, you get into the 1950s, there's like a bunch of them on one page, and they just say refer to their, what would be their document to get them across the ocean in the 50s.
Passport?
Well, yeah, it's not passport, but it's like that.
Mhm.
They did all this checking before and all that. So here's, there's almost no detail in the 1950s ones at any rate. But here's Rose, again with the name spelled wrong. It says she was born in 1891, which is not correct, but I know that. In Carbonara, Italy. Now you already have a problem because there's 4 of them in Italy. I happen to know which is the right one. So, as Dominic was saying, there's a lot of data on here. Unfortunately, the declaration isn't listed with this one. My personal description: sex feminine, color white, complexion fair, blue, I was gonna say blue hair, brown eyes. Blue eyes, brown hair, 5'3", 215 pounds.
Yikes.
She had 20 kids. She had to cook for 20 kids, and she had leftovers and all kinds of no distinguishing marks, race white, nationality Italy. I am married. They leave a line here to say not, and then they would type XXX and put widowed, but she's not. Husband's Michael. They married January 26, 1907. I'm going to go back real quick. So July 19th, 1906, she showed up here, and by January 26th of the following year, she was married. Can you say arranged marriage? At Chicago, Illinois, they weren't out in the town of Mannheim before it was called Franklin Park. So he was born in Carbonara. So now we've got his birth date. You got to look for it in the Italian records, which is obviously what I'm coming to for more of this talk, on May the 1st, 1885. I think that's actually accurate. So it says that he entered the United States March of 1906. Okay, so he's already 21, so he's already served his time in the Italian military and everything else. Resides at Franklin Park, Illinois with me. He was naturalized November 11th, 1926, U.S. District Court. If we looked for him, we would find him obviously in that same index. Certificate number, that's not the petition number, that's the certificate. I even saw somebody with a book open, and I saw their petition from here, the certificate from here, but that number is different. Now down here, this little open area is where they would normally list the children. So number 8, I have 20 children. See attached rider. That's why I picked this one to show you. I've never seen one. Despite the size of Italian families, I've never seen one that said see other page, okay? My last place of foreign residence was Carbonara. I came from Naples. And again, this repeats all this stuff from the passenger list. So we've got the name of the ship, we got the arrival date, so you can go back and find all that and have some assurance you've got the right person, okay? I have not been absent from the United States. When are they going to take a trip to Italy with all those kids? They're not. So of course she hasn't left for. So no departed, none of that stuff. So I've been here all this time. There's her, another nasty signature. Okay, we got to get to the rider, don't we? I think we have the back though. Okay, so the witnesses. Now these are in Chicago. These must be people she knew. I know these names, you know. Casa Massimo, that's the name of a town, so somebody got named for the town and that name came through. And I've been acquainted with the United States as Rose Latare. Well, not quite, but that's close enough. So these two signed off, October of 1942, certificate of arrival number. That number was on that first little half a page. And she takes the oath. It doesn't matter. It used to mention who that, maybe, well, October of 43, Mussolini had been tossed by then, right? I mean, right at that moment.
Yeah.
So who knows who she was renouncing her allegiance to at that particular millisecond. But frequently it'll say, I renounce the Prime Minister of Poland, the King of Italy, Mussolini, whatever. So, see other page. Everybody here who's had even one child is going, yeah. So, I did not check to see how accurate all these days are. There are 2 sets of twins. So she had 18 confinements, and I've never found any evidence of there being any miscarriages or stillbirths or any of that kind of stuff. January of this year, the last of these 20 kids passed away. Benny made it to 89. The youngest of these to ever pass was 69 years of age. So nobody died in the flu epidemic, none of that stuff. But like I say, there was never 20. They moved, the only reason they moved is they just couldn't, no place to live in Chicago that could handle even this many kids. So they moved to Franklin Park and they became they had to be a farmer just to make enough money and enough food to feed all these kids and to have enough kids to work on the farm. So I wanted you to see that because that's pretty cool. Like I say, if you're driving, I forget what street it is, but there's an underpass with kind of a white wall, and there's this gigantic, it's a wedding picture of one of these. I don't even know if all 20, I think all 20 kids are in there, and mom and dad are in the center. Yes, they got an award. So my point is that, now I cheated when I found the record number, image number 80, but we started at 100, okay? I just want to repeat this stuff. So 272,585, you just compare the number on the petition and go left or right with the image numbers, or you just say, oh, 585, I need 273,579, and then you jump ahead by another 100. We're going to talk about that with the Italian records because it's really going to be the only way you can find. Okay, 200 better show up. Don't want no more internets going on here. This might be the computer. This computer has 64 gigabytes of RAM. We should not have any troubles with it. Not megabytes, gigabytes. Well, we'll get to the next section and see what's going on with that. Okay, so that's finding a petition for naturalization. But again, the declarations, if you find those, have a different set of numbers on them. So don't think you're completely in the wrong spot, okay? So, try this at home. Look for your, ancestor. Again, they got to be in that index up to 1979 coming in. If they came in after that, they're not in there. So now I do want to show you searching for the few records that are going to be indexed. Okay, and again, this will just give you a little bit of practice with searching for stuff. We were in search. Whoops. We want to go to search records again, which we were already in. Search historical records. Okay. And a little bit. 110, 100. Okay. So again, my first step is jump right to more. Actually, no, we'll do more options. What the heck? Let's see what we can find. I want to teach you this method. This will help you with Chicago stuff. This will help you with Italian stuff if it's indexed. Okay? Who here has ancestors from the province of Bari, Puglia? Okay. So it just so happens, that's the area I'm most familiar with, but it just so happens that they indexed certain towns in the 1870s, 80s, 1890s. If they could do the entire film all at once, they did it, and then they stopped, and they never restarted the project. But I'm afraid if I ask them to restart it, they'll say, good, you run it. I don't have time. So some records are, I'm gonna try to find, because I know she's out there, I'm gonna try to find a woman that she died when I was a month old, so I never called her by her name, but my parents referred to as Tsitsit Smadian. Okay, Aunt Marianne, obviously. So I'm lucky I know that. And I remind you that the box that's next to it means it will only find an exact 100% match. I do not recommend using that box unless you're looking for John Smith and you don't want SMYTHE, okay? For our names and for how badly they're misspelled, let them be misspelled, okay? So now, I'm looking for her birth record. Her last name was Santoliquido, because her father was a foundling who was left at the church. So that's how we got the name. So I'm going to see if she's out here. Now, what kind of record am I looking for? I'm looking for a birth record, okay? So I'm going to hit type, and instead of hitting immigration, I'm going to hit birth. Now again, you can try this with your ancestors, but it's probably a 97% chance you're not going to find, because the stuff's just not indexed. But I'm going to show you how to tell what is indexed, just so you can get a feel for it, and you don't spend a lot of time searching for all these names and nobody comes up. But I'm going to hit search. Okay, so I have two of them. We have other people whose names somehow connect with Santoliquido spelling-wise in family searches. Filtered results, 52,344. We don't want to look through 52,000 of anything. So we have a January 1st, 1887, parents, Nicola and Maria, and we have a May 27th, 1890. Okay? You will find this in your family almost a given. You'll probably even find it in Chicagoland, and no one told you that the parents had infants who passed away, and they kind of don't bring it up again. Okay? I don't remember if I told this story last month, but when I was in Italy, Mariana had a brother, Michael, who came to America and went home 5 times. He didn't stay. I would call him Uncle Indecisive. He had a son who ended up mayor of Trajano. And his, who's also named Nicola Santoliquido, and Nicola Santoliquido is a professor of literature in Bari, or he was, and very, very bright man. And so he told me in Italian. Of course, he didn't speak one word of English, and I didn't speak enough Italian, but he explained to me that there were 4 children in the family. Anangela, which is my great-grandmother, Michael, his dad, Marianne, and Cicidalene, Adeline. And I said, not 4, Nove figli. And he looked at me like I was, okay, the young kid. I'll show the young kid. Okay. He was born in 1919. I'm not the young kid most places I go anymore, but so he ended up, so he explained again, and I said, and I actually had a book, and I showed him the birth records, which he had access to when he was mayor, by the way. He probably wrote them in the later days. I said, no, and I found 5 other kids, including a set of twins. And he couldn't figure out where the twins came from in his own descendant line, and now he knew, because his parents' generation had a set of twins. Of course, neither one lived more than a couple of weeks. And this Mariana is another, she died. So I found 9 kids, and I'm like, yep. I just gave him the book, of course. That's what I was there with, what I brought the book for. So he was quite happy with it. So I know that these particular records are searchable because I've been working with this town for a while. I'm going to click on the. If you're looking for somebody and you're not sure when they were born, obviously, the one born January 1st must have died before the one born May 27th of 1890. So when I click on any area of the record, I get the detail, and I'm going to hit View Record so you can see what you're going to see at home, which is check image availability. And it's gonna say, nope, you can't see this unless you're at a family history center or affiliate library. You guys, if you know nothing else, you're gonna recite that part of it. What I can suggest you do, if you have people that you wanna search for at home, you can do that, okay? You wanna click this little document information, it's got a down arrow underneath the not image. And you see 3 sets of numbers. Sometimes you'll see 2, sometimes you'll see 3. It says digital folder number, microfilm number, image number. I just showed somebody before the talk how to find a record they were looking for, and hers happened to be not searchable, but the films were available from home. So if you look for this at home, you can write these numbers down and then take them with you to the Family History Center or the affiliate library, and you can just dive right in, go right to that film and go right to that image, and there it will be. You don't have to hunt for it a second time. In this particular case, I could just go to a family search center, family history center, and I could type in her name, which is amazingly spelled accurately. There are many Santo Liquidos. The Q is a G and all sorts of things. So the image is there, and the film number is there. I can't show you the image because we're not at a family search center or whatever, but when you're at one, if you can search, you can jump right, you can just click on it, take you right to the image, and you've got it. Then you can save it. If you can't save it, take a picture with your phone. So I'll go back to the other one. I mean, it gives you enough detail. So I'm going to click on the January one. You're not going to be able to see that image either, but you get the date, you get the town, and you get that folder number, that microfilm number. It's actually the same film, and a different image number. This time you get 1688. So now you can go there and you can go right to the film, get the first image, get the second image. Doesn't matter what order you do them in, they can do any of them. Certificate number 13. I think a lot of kids born in 1887 didn't make it to 1890, so the 13 had nothing to do with it. In terms of bad luck. So this one, it says 1887 to 1889. This is probably some tree data that I put out there, so I actually have the death date. But that's if you're going to do the family tree. That's a whole nother set of instructions there. I just want to show you how to find records, because if you don't know how to, I literally don't remember what the struggle was to find a record back when I started. First off, Family Search didn't exist. So I ordered microfilm. I told you about that last month, okay? So I would order the microfilm that contained these birth records, and I'd start at the first record and it would say, oh, I'm in 1877. Well, I need 1890. Okay, this arm is way stronger than this arm because this is where the microfilm, okay? You know, I mean, Popeye after the spinach. Okay, I haven't used microfilm in a while, so it's back down to my wimpy little arm that I have. But that's, you had to just go and go and go, and you go, okay, 1882, brrr, nightmare. This is not much better, but at least you can jump image numbers, and I'm going to show you how to do that. That's very, very important because these films have 3,000 images on them. You don't want to start at number 1, number 2, number 3. You don't want to do that. If you've done that already, salute, but I got to show you a better way to do it. So, I want to show you another search, because this is the one that will really be cool, even if it's okay. I have found practically every ancestor that lived in Chicago had more kids than they let on because they had kids that passed away. So I go in here, if they passed away, if they at least were a stillborn. The stillborn records in Chicago are not that complete as far as what we can get to here. if the kid lived even a few minutes, there's a birth certificate and a death certificate, so Cook County has something, okay? So I found my dad's grandfather and grandmother. The grandmother was 49. I don't know if anybody did the math when we had the 20-kid mom, but she was born 1891. Her last kid was born in 1936. Her first was born in 1907. 29 years worth of kids. Could have had more. Could have squeezed another couple in the mix in there. I don't know. I mean, if the father had gone off to war, there'd be a gap of kids. So, but he was. I'm sure he's, he probably filled out the paperwork and said, I'm not eligible for World War I draft. As of 1917, he would have had at least 7, 8 kids. He'd have filled that in, sent it in, they'd have been like, oh, come on, but he did. Little did they know. So, I want to show you a type of search, which my father didn't know anything, nobody else in the family knew anything. I'm going to search for births, and so I go to type again, and if you can't see it because they have the extra little scroll thing, so you got scrolling here and scrolling there, so be advised. Here's what I do. Father and mother. Now, am I going to spell their names all the way out? Heck no, they're going to be spelled wrong all over the place, okay? If you want to try it, I mean, you can search any way you want. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you want to search exact names, go ahead, but you're not going to find much. Just remember that. Now, this is what I do, and and I don't remember if I tried this, but I'm going to allow for every possible horrific misspelling of Nicola and of Santo Liquido. That's the father. And then I'm going to put the mother. She's Maria. And the good news is she's Olivo or Oliva or whatever variation of that there is. So now I didn't put a name in at all up at the top. I'm not looking for one kid. I'm looking for all the kids of a couple who has these initials. Okay? We're going to see how this comes out, but try it with your grandparents or some set of initials. You can obviously get a lot of other people. Well, I'm getting Norwegians, so that's probably, we want to do a little more to narrow that down. We got 11,000 kids. Oh, no, it's not 11,000 kids. Because I put in the initials. So I'm gonna put in Illinois for the moment. And the last month when I showed you this, I typed in Illinois, and it didn't ask me for anything, but now it suddenly is asking me to select a specific place name. That's new. So if you tried this last month, it's going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to try Illinois first as a birthplace. Wait a minute, that's just place. I don't want it in place, I want it in birth. Got to be very specific. If you're looking for a census record, you can put place. I'm not even going to put years. Let's just say for the sake of argument that I don't know when this couple got married. So I'm going to hit search. So we're getting some people. We've got John Newton Sellers. Just so you know how these searches work. I put N as his first name, and because John Newton is in the first name, that's a hit. Sellers. Marion O'Connor, M-O, is a hit. So just know why you're getting these results. We got a lot of people here, and none of them are. Let's change it to a death, because their kids were probably all born over in Italy, and that's part of what you'll find out. If you're not sure which of the brothers and sisters in your grandparents' family, go to the census. You'll at least get Italy, Illinois, and you'll know who was born where. Typically they figure that stuff out. So I typed that so poorly that it didn't come up with Illinois. Okay. And I'm going to leave the years blank since now we're looking for a death. And we find no results. That doesn't make sense. Oh, you know why? This is a good lesson for you guys. I searched for a death place, And I searched in a birth record, I didn't uncheck that. Guess what? No birth record has a death place. You're gonna run into this. You're laughing now, because I'm looking bad up here, but you're gonna go home and you're gonna go, why can't I find anybody in here? That's one of the reasons why, okay? So we've got an NSMO, NSMO. Okay, so we're getting other people. So when you get too many, or it's only 46, that's actually not bad. Of Illinois deaths from any year with those initials, there's only 46. For the sake of our discussion here, let's expand that a little bit. San gets rid of them Smiths. So we got some Santiagos, and that's it. So it's not, even with NS, okay, I think I know why. Because the people that died, that were their kids, died in Chicago, they didn't know the mother's maiden name as Olivo. Sometimes you might have to, I'd hate to say we say MS for Santo Liquido. I mean, she was never known as that. She died in Italy, right? Well, for giggles, let's see what it comes up, because I want to get to the other Santine. See, we're not getting any misspellings for Santo Liquido unless the AN. See, Santine, Esther Quest. See if they died with a married name, but these parents, it would have shown up. So this family did not have any kids in Chicago that died in infancy. They did have kids in Italy that did, but we're not searching for that. So I'll come back to that. I want to get to the good stuff here. I want to show you how to find where in your town which records are searchable, and how to know what to do with your catalog. We're gonna go search catalog now. We're gonna find the town that this is in the handout of finding, again, assuming you all, does anybody here not know the little town in Italy where their family came from? See that 3/4 of the hands go up at a public library, but not here, okay? So, good, that's the easy part. So search catalog, and we want to go to a place, okay? So I'm going to put my place because that's where I know the results. And I know I told you the story that they wrote on one of the naturalizations. They said, where were you born? Where were you born? Treejon. And they wrote Treejohn on the official piece of paper. Treejon.
Okay.
Sound makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I don't know what it is. I guess let me throw this question to the audience here. If your family is from the south and we are of Italy, and ours is, and Bari, I know there's Sicilians here too. Do they chop off those vowels at the end?
Sure.
Okay, so whenever anybody, I mean, we have nobody in my family who's born in Italy anymore. They're all gone. And even their siblings are gone. But everybody who wants to say something of they don't say we're from Trajano. It's Treejon. They all cut they cut the vowel off, puts them closer to the country of birth when they never lived there. But so I'm going to say Treejon.
The endings vary.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't quite know whether it's an E or an I sound or whatever, you just eliminate.
You just leave, yeah. Well, if you're talking about a name or you're talking about a surname, certainly, hey, Condolor,
Yeah.
could be an O, could be an A, could be an I or an E if there's more than one of you. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, there's only one Trajano Bari, so it's a singular.
Treejon.
Treejon. So I'm going to hit that, search for that town. Now, as I typed it in, you notice that it came up by itself. You got to select their search result, okay? So I've got civil registration now. This is, like I say, this is part of the handout. So you want to see this. You want to see civil registration. So that says civil registration, and then below, it's all in Italian, okay? So they got 3 different batches of records, and 2 of them have years on it. One of them's got this 1920 straggler. Long story I won't get into. but it says 1809 to 1900, comma, 1920. Okay. So I'm gonna hit that one because it'll show what we're trying to accomplish here. My browser, and your browser too, is gonna say, do we really wanna, don't you wanna translate this into English? Because we don't recognize some of this stuff. You know, it's as in English as it's ever gonna get. So, this stuff was filmed 1989 to 1990, so they were just filming it when I just got started doing this. So I don't know how long that took to get into the film list, but if it had not been there, I probably would have taken up another hobby. And then I don't know who would be here doing this talk, but it wouldn't be me. So down below are all the different types of records that are available for Trujano Bari, okay? I'll talk about annotazioni di morti next month. They're not too, well, they can be helpful. How's this pronounced? Cittadinanzi? Cittadinanzi, I guess. It's something to do with, yes, it's something to do with leaving Italy, but nobody ever seemed to sign it. It's almost empty all the time. So, I don't know if this will zoom in. Okay, good.
Oh, that's better.
So you see this tiny little, I'll call it an emoji, it's not really an icon, with a camera. I mean, it's even got a little, the button on the side and a lens for the camera and a little shade for the glare in the lens. How nice and clever. And then above it is a tiny little key. Let's really zoom in.
So it's a key.
Now it sort of looks like a key and a camera. Okay. But when you're right, so Control plus, Control minus will zoom in your browser and zoom it out if you're not familiar with that trick. So this means restricted. I put my thing over it and it says this film is viewable with additional restrictions. That means Family Search Center affiliate library, okay? So you see a bunch of them there. I want to get to a different icon. Now we get to one that doesn't have a key on it. That means I can view this at home. I can view this at Casa Italia right here. I can view it any place.
Granite Mountain Record Vault?
Granite Mountain Record Vault.
What the hell is that?
That is in Salt Lake City because they have determined that somewhere along the line we're going to be hit with a direct nuclear blast. Just don't know when. And a direct nuclear blast, they have a complete set of all the microfilms that they ever had and all the records they ever had in a mountain vault that will withstand a nuclear blast. Because obviously the first thing I'm going to do the day after the smoke and the ashes clear away is get back to my research. Well, I will. That's the thing. Geez, I got to enter 7 million death dates. Died at died. That'll take forever. So they actually have a mountain vault. The other guy who has one, believe it or not, is Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson, there's this thousands of feet underground, some mine somewhere. It's temperature controlled, and they have the complete master tapes of all of the Tonight shows from when he moved to California in '72 until he retired in '92. It's in an underground vault, so we'll be able to watch. Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll be able to watch Johnny, and we'll be able to do our research while we're doing it. Those are the only two vaults. I'm sure the government's got ones for something, but you know, keep the Bitcoin or who knows what's going on. But anyway, so
Well, what happens
So the
when you click on that?
all it does is for people like me who I haven't been to Salt Lake City in a lot of years. You see, some of them say Family History Library, and some of them say Granite Mountain Record Vault. What you used to do, I suppose you still do, is that I would contact the big Family History Library in Salt Lake City. I think I heard somebody talk about possibly visiting for other reasons and they want to go to the library. Well, you go to your catalog where I'm at now for your town, and you see which films, if they say Family History Library, they are in the main library in a microfilm cabinet. If they say Granite Mountain Record Vault, then you have to ask them, can you please make a copy of that film for the library? And they've got somebody sitting down in that Granite Mountain Record Vault, watching Johnny Carson evidently. And they make a copy of the film, and for nothing, and they give it to the library and they put it up in the in the film cabinet. It says International B1 floor film. So there's the specific film floor number of the library where the international stuff is. They've got the US and Canada on a different floor. So that's what that all means.
Oh, I assumed that the camera without a key on top meant that you could get a picture of it.
Well,
by clicking on it.
This one, again, this is a long story. When they went and filmed my town, they failed to film 1920s births. And I was the first person to contact them on that. And I said, well, I've got all the kids in the family through 1919 and 1921 to 29. What am I supposed to do about 1920? They also missed the 1910 deaths. Somebody fell asleep at the wheel.
Watching Johnny Carson.
So they
And
were.
in Italy, that would have to be in Italy.
It was the one with Dean Martin and Bob Hope
In Italy.
and George Goebel. You've all seen it. Dean Martin does his ashes into George Goebel's drink, and he pretends like he doesn't see it, and then he keeps drinking. So yeah, well, you could drink on television. So anyway, we're getting on it. But yeah, this one's not going to work. I'll show you why it doesn't work. Image unavailable. So they have it. This is the type of thing you'll see at home if you try to click on one of those other icons. This one is a wrong icon that they haven't fixed yet. You click on a regular one, and it's basically, this one gives you a better message. To view these images, access at a family search center, affiliate library, just like I've been telling you. And they all have these blank items on it. So these are restricted. These are not restricted unless there's an error. And this is what I wanted to show you, which is a little magnifying glass. And that means that I can click on that, and it's births 1877 to 1893. So if I'm looking for somebody in there, I got a shot at finding it by doing a search. Now, what I'm telling you to do is, when you go in here and find your town, you may or may not find any with the search thing on it, okay? But print your catalog record if you can. I mean, if you're in a city, if you're in Palermo, that catalog record will be forever, okay? But if it's a small enough town that it's only a few pages, print that out, and at least you'll know, hey, I'm looking for all the kids from 1880 to 1890. Hey, I can do it with the search. The other ones, I got to do it at a center with this. So I'm going to click on this because I want you to know that you're going to run into something that doesn't. I'm going to back out here. So here's some names, and the results say 22,639. Now that's not what we haven't searched for anything. This is everybody on that film or folder. Okay, so what you're going to sometimes run into is you're going to have a little magnifying glass, and you're going to click on it, and it's going to say results 4. You're going to run into that. That means somehow a couple of records are indexed, but now we haven't really gotten to it yet. I don't know why they put the same icon, emoji, whatever, for I've got 4 records as if I've got 22,639. Just look at that results thing, and when you see a bunch of numbers there, you go, okay, this is truly searchable, okay? And then you can go into search, and I'm going to try my parent search again that flamed out a minute ago. Now you see down here, image group number, DGS, or film number. This is my folder number from the catalog, okay? It just puts that there, so it limits my search to that one film, okay? So if you know that, if you've got that printed out, you can jump right to the search page and fill that in the bottom, and it's not gonna search Sri Lanka or wherever, okay? Should I select the type? Well, I don't have to, because I know that this film contains nothing but births on it. It said so in the catalog, right? 1877 to 1893. So I don't have to necessarily change this. But if you want to be certain, you can do it, okay? And now I'm going to do my parent search again. Do I have to type in a birthplace? No, because this is only one film. I'm focused like a laser beam into a single film out of uncountable millions of films. So by doing that, you don't have to worry about all this other frou-frou stuff that's going to get in the way. So father is good old NS, and mom is MO, and you do need to put the asterisk in there, otherwise it's going to literally look for MO, and then find who knows what it's going to find beyond that. Okay, now we see misspellings, but that's what we want to see. So here's Uncle Indecisive. Born Sante Liquido. Okay, if I'd have typed Santo Liquido, okay, well, he might have appeared, he might not have appeared, because after it finds the exact matches, then it finds the close ones, and then not so close, you know. So when it says 11,000 records at the top, it doesn't mean there's 11,000 people with that name. It means, well, we found the 25 you want, and then some other people that are maybe close. So parents Nicola Sante Liquido and Maria Olita. It's Oliva, okay? And then there's my great-grandmother. Now I'd love to click on these and show you the records, but it's restricted, okay? So we got two different records with, or two different things with her on it. You could run into that. Doesn't mean it's a duplicate necessarily, but when we see what a birth record looks like, one image contains 3 births because it's a page. So it's going to be a full birth record on the left, a little record down here, and a part of it on the next page, and then a full birth record on the right. That's how they're going to look from 1875 onward. So we've got, she's also Olita and Olita. Here's Mariana the First, who we found earlier, and she's Oliva, mom's Oliva. This time, mom is her proper spelling, which is Maria Lucrezia Oliva. So she added her middle name in the middle there. And we have Carmela, who's one of those babies that died that I showed to our Professor Mayer in Italy, and Biagio's another one. So these are the ones that appear from 1877 to 1893. Okay, now she had more kids after 93. 1879 was her first kid. There's none in the records before then, but I know that from researching it. So, but this is good because if I didn't know that, this is given a bunch of different dates. And 1879, they're having kids already. So I don't have to look in the 1880s or the 1890s for the marriage of these two people. Okay, I've got the oldest kid, at least from here, is 1879. So I use that I can start working my way backward for the marriages. Okay, I have yet to ever see a marriage indexed or a death indexed on Family Search for Italy. And it bugs me because those are the things we need the most of. You probably got a birth date for your grandpa because you might have sung happy birthday to the guy. Yeah, depending on if he lied about his birth date and all that stuff, or just got it wrong. But to know his parents' marriage date, I don't know. So it's good to know who the oldest kids are, and then you can start backward. not that there are that many illegitimate births, but even though this woman's born in February of 1879, my great-grandma, yeah, I would start with the 1879 marriages, just to be on the safe side. You do occasionally get a marriage right before a birth. Now, keep in mind that they probably had a separate church wedding from a civil wedding. Not a lot of getting along between the civil and the church. I can't speak for which decades or centuries that happened.
From about 1860 to 1929.
That's a good range. It certainly encompasses this one. Well, the Risorgimento, that had something to do. What's the cause of that mistrust?
Well, Italian unification in the 1860s, the Pope didn't want to be part of it.
And he owned the Papal States
Well, yeah.
in the center.
And then 1929, when Mussolini and the Pope signed the Concordat,
That
Mussolini
ended the debate.
needed to do that in order to consolidate his power, his political power.
Okay. Great lesson.
They didn't recognize each other's.
Yeah, if you got
weddings.
married in the church and you didn't get married in a civil records office, your kids were
Bastards.
illegitimate. Yeah, that's another term. And vice versa. So, so yes, you will find a civil marriage record that's 2 weeks before the birth, and you'll be like, what the heck, you know? But they could have gotten married in the church and not lived in sin or whatever.
But they were still doing that in the 50s, in 1955 and 56?
I don't think so.
Well, my
necessarily,
parents
but-
had two wedding dates. They got married in Italy in the civil, and then they got married here at the church.
I don't know why they would not recognize the Italian wedding here. Maybe they just did two ceremonies
Well, maybe
to,
because she wasn't my father went to Italy to marry her, and then he came back alone, and then she came here, and then they got married at the church.
yeah, I think that's different than what we're talking
Okay.
about of, you know, I mean, like I said, when I was in Italy in 2003, my relatives, you know, to me, the priest at that church was gonna be the best friend I ever had, because he's gonna let me read records that I can't get anywhere else, and they were, you know, I could tell from their language what they didn't think much of him.
It's
Yeah.
like a wedding, like a license.
Yeah, yeah.
You get a license and then you also go to church. The license
But
registration.
when I was at a wedding in Italy, when my cousin got married, in 2000 or whatever, it was 1995, the civil ceremony was the day before the religious ceremony. But my parents, it was 6 months before, and I don't know if that's because she was not a US citizen and she had to be married to come here, or I don't know how that
That
works.
shouldn't have mattered.
But now at least they recognize each
Yeah.
other.
When do we wanna do our break?
I think right now.
That would seem to be a good spot. We've got, because I want to show finding the records in the Italian documents, because that's the main thing we gotta hit, but we should be